Hi, and welcome to Tuesdays with Tammy. I'd like to introduce my guest for today. Mere words can only capture the refrain of her awesome talent. She is the ballad of beauty and elegance. The melodies flowing from this petite vocalist are truly amazing. While casting a spellbinding smile, she mesmerizes her captive audience with incredible harmonies and rhythms. As an actor, she has appeared in hit TV shows such as Lifetime's Army Wives, Devious Maids, Revolution, and Criminal Minds. Some of her theatrical credits include The Blind Side, Addicted, starring Sharon Leal and Boris Kodjoe, Hunger Games: Catching Fire as Cedar, and she also stars in The Next Day. In addition, she recurs in Bounce TV's Saints and Sinners as Lieutenant Hawkins and as Miss Sumner in the Oscar-nominated film Hidden Figures. A song stylist in her own right, Maria has shared the musical stage with such legendary artists as Nancy Wilson, George Benson, Ray Charles, and Earl Klugh, and Ronnie Laws. After a very successful six-year stint in Asia, Maria relocated back to the US and performed at Sambuca Jazz Cafe for 9 consecutive years. She and pianist Bill Wilson, son of legendary jazz pianist Teddy Wilson, held the distinction of being the longest running act at the Atlanta, Georgia location. As of 2017, Maria hosts her live Hollywood music series called Duets, featuring songs to soothe your soul. Maria is not only a song stylist and actor, but a very devoted supporter of her charity of choice, Students Without Mothers, where she has served as a board member for over 8 years. So I'd like to have everybody please welcome my beautiful guest, Maria Howell. Hi, Maria.
Hi there, Tammy. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm so excited to have you on my show. And as I mentioned to you when we were discussing you being on here, this show is primarily going to be focused around mental health wellness and how people have been able to use mental health wellness and mental health therapy as a form of self-care in order to help them get through challenges in their lives that otherwise might have prevented them from, having growth. And so before we jump into that topic, I'd like to see how you're doing in all of the pandemic that's going on with the COVID-19.
I tell you, I'm doing fine. I think the first 3 weeks, I was telling myself I was on vacation.
Okay.
But then the reality set in a little bit. It's been such a time of reflection.
Yes.
It's been a time of digging deep inside and saying, okay, what is it that you really want to do with your life? Are you on track with some things? Are you on track with all things? What do you need to modify and revise? So it's been a real reflective, introspective time for me. And I've been doing pretty good in it. And it's interesting because there's so many different things that contribute to the other. One is being physically fit, one is being mentally fit, and the other is being spiritually fit. And I've been doing my best to make sure I take care of all those things. I've not been perfect in every area every day, but it's definitely something worth dealing with. It's important. It's crucial.
It is important. And I think for a lot of people, they've kind of been in a sort of holding space, not sure whether to start creating and diving into new projects that they have to do at home while they were sheltering in versus not doing anything and just waiting till this all, is over. But the problem is we don't really know when it's going to be over, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't personally, I have not been waiting. I've started there were some projects that were in queue before this ever happened.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say I got to all of those because some of them are not relevant anymore.
Right.
Because we found a new normal, if you will.
Yes.
And so it's that what gifts and talents did God give me that makes sense to to work it out. And I think we just disappeared just a second there. Let me try to start that over. My phone started ringing. The gifts and talents that God gave me that I have to pay attention to see how do I use these things now?
Right.
Do I need to modify? And fortunately, most of the things that I've been doing, I can still continue to do now that save, on camera. you know, until they figure out what they're going to be doing in the industry, that's on the back burner. But
Mhm.
voiceovers, I still thrive with those, and singing, same thing. So
Yes.
yeah, it's been a challenge, I have to say.
It has, and I think it's we can all find the positive in it by understanding how it can be looked at as a gift, so to
Mhm.
speak, because it forces us to look within ourselves to recognize those gifts and those talents that we already possessed, but maybe we didn't quite believe in them the way
Mhm.
we should have in order to
Or
get them
or
jump started.
or be aware that we had them.
Exactly.
Because I'm seeing that in some people. I'm like, you have a gift for that. And sometimes we have to listen to people that we surround ourselves with.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Right, right. So tell me more about Maria Howell. We all know that you're this amazing singer. We know that you are an amazing actress. You are an amazing creator. You have so many gifts and talents. And based on the, the 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 concept of my show,
Mhm.
how would you say you have gotten to where you are and mentally and emotionally with the help of mental health wellness? Like,
Oh.
where did this kind of start for you?
Whew, which phase? Which year? Okay.
Go
In
back to childhood if you want to.
in all seriousness, it's been a journey. And sometimes I'm very aware of what's going on, and sometimes I'm not until after the fact. And I have to say, what's really sustained me, in addition to my deep faith in God, is I sought help. I went to therapy. There had been a couple of traumatic things that happened in my most recent 5, 6 years that I just got to a point. I said, you know what? I've got to go talk to somebody about these things. And
Mhm.
so I started therapy. Um, I want to say in the year of 2017,
Okay, so that was about 3 years
3 years ago.
ago. When you said there were some things that happened in your life that made you feel like I have to go and
Mhm.
talk to somebody, were there any physical signs or mental signs that made you feel like I have to talk to somebody? I know there were some events that happened, but
Yeah.
just so others out there can recognize when they should realize that, you know, they don't have to handle it alone.
Oh
What
yeah.
were some of the signs that you personally were experiencing?
Well, outside of depression, and isolation, I
Mm,
think the isolation was the number one thing because I started feeling like I wanted to be alone to work it out myself,
yes,
and it wasn't working,
yes.
you know, because I've always been considered, by others and myself, to be a strong person.
Mhm.
Strength does not come in being able to just keep on surviving, surviving, surviving. Strength comes in being vulnerable and aware enough and you know, to just say, you know what, I need to talk about this thing. I need some help. So I think it was the isolation for me. And then I'd start getting agitated and angry, the
Mm,
anger. Um, those were some of the telltale signs for me personally. Um, when people started, I cried a lot.
okay,
I cried a lot.
okay.
And a lot of these things, they were, I think for me personally, it was because so many things happened at one time. So it was almost like a crash moment. My
Mm,
mom had passed away. I had a relationship that was a breaking up. I was in a new city, dealing with moving and all that. It was overwhelming.
mhm,
And so it just came at one time. That was
mhm,
it. And I was like, you know, I'm not equipped to handle all this at one time. I couldn't grieve properly.
mhm.
So yeah, and I was away
There
from my
are too many
family.
things, there are too many things you were expected to have to keep holding up in the air. So did you feel like you did not have any space to just put it down, step back, and just take a moment to yourself? Is that
Yeah,
what you mean?
yeah, because there's this thing called, this syndrome in our industry that it's like feast or famine. And when you feel like you can't take a break because you need that check or you need that job, you
Mhm.
tend to overdo it.
Yes.
And and at this particular time, I was new to LA,
Mhm.
full time new to LA. And so I was basically wanted to make every audition. I wanted to, you know, all of that. even with my mother passing away, and I was very close to my mom.
Yes.
The relationship breaking, it's just too much. I've had to hold it together. I was wound too tightly.
Okay.
And at the same time, I felt like I had to keep working, but I wasn't giving myself that time to just be still.
Hmm.
And yeah, God has a way of saying, okay, look, you're not listening. I need you to listen. And I crashed. Yeah, I
Okay.
would almost say, I wouldn't go as far as to say I had a nervous breakdown, but maybe that's clinically what it was. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, nervous breakdowns can look like different things to many
Mhm.
different people. So it is possible that maybe you did, but
Yeah.
it was your, way of feeling that way, because Maria Howell has always been so used to being so strong and
Yeah.
being the person that everybody comes to and everybody can depend on,
Mhm.
that for you, feeling as if you can't do it any longer, or you just needed a break, or who were you going to go and lay your head on their
Yeah.
shoulder during the time when you most needed somebody, that could feel like a nervous breakdown. So it is very real for you.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah. And thank God I did do what I did at the time. I remember walking into I remember walking into the therapist's office, and I said to her, this is my little ego and bravado, and I said, look, I'm not crazy. I just need somebody to talk to because it's a whole lot happening at one time. I remember telling her that. And I look back and I'm going, girl, you are so just too much for yourself. Yeah. But we worked it out.
But you know what? That's a stereotypical myth that a lot of people seem to believe in, is that if you go see a mental health therapist, that something really serious must be wrong with you, that you're crazy, you're insane,
Yeah.
you're like you're going off the deep end,
Yeah.
you're on the edge, and it's
Yeah.
not true. Sometimes, or a lot of times actually, people just need somebody to hear them, because
Yeah.
it's difficult sometimes to talk to your friends, even if they're considered close friends, and share with them what you're going through,
Mhm.
because a lot of times people don't have the gift of listening and just being present for you. What they want to do is try to fix it, or they want to try to provide answers and advice when you're not looking for it, or what's even
Exactly.
worse is they want to try to provide advice on something they've never even experienced, and they expect you to take it.
And
And
sometimes when you talk yourself, you're actually working it out yourself. You just need to
exactly,
get it out.
exactly,
Because I look at therapy now as you go take your car to get maintained.
girl.
You go get an oil change.
Yes, yes,
I was
yes.
basically getting an oil change.
I tell my clients and my potential clients that all the time.
Oh, really?
I said, as a mental health therapist, I'm
Mhm.
going to need you to try to look at mental health therapy from a different perspective.
Oh, yeah.
You go to the dentist twice a year just to get your teeth cleaned. Why? Because it's preventive care to prevent cavities. You go get your oil changed and your brakes checked because it's a tune-up, because sometimes it just needs a refresher, right? You do all of these, you go to a wellness check once a year, or get a mammogram, or, for females, a pap
Yeah.
smear,
Yeah.
just to make sure everything is working properly. You take vitamins just to make sure you are good.
We take care of so many things in our lives except that portion.
Right.
And,
Except
and
for
that to me is so key. I mean, I recommend, I mean, I've never really been against therapy.
yes.
It's just that I never stopped to, you know, to utilize or take advantage of it.
And sometimes
Um,
people don't even think of it as an option. It never crosses their minds. And you know what I think could help change that is if whenever we finally get some kind of a decent healthcare program up and
mm,
running, if they would make it included so that it's easy for more people to have
good point.
access to mental health therapy, and
Good
not
point.
make it so difficult, and not make it so expensive, then that's when I think more people might consider it. Plus, more people will consider it hearing people like you who are so successful in so many areas talk about how you love going and how it's helped you in spite of everything. Because a lot of people would probably look at you and say, well, why would she need to go? I mean, she's got so much going
Human.
for her. You're human. We all are.
But you made a good point too, because part of the reason and I'll be honest, totally transparent with you, part of the reason why it took me so long is because I didn't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't offered with my health insurance through Screen Actors Guild. And then all of a sudden, one day when I needed it, it was offered. And I said, I have no excuse. So I went
Okay.
because it was part of my plan at that point. They started, because I think somebody realized every human being needs to go to therapy,
Oh, yes.
counseling, therapy, whatever you want to call it. But every human being could stand to use some sessions of just sorting things out, just talking about it, because when we don't talk about it, what happens is it festers inside of our bodies and we get sick. The
Right.
stress will stay in there and then it'll start manifesting in another way.
Right. And
So,
it manifests physically, emotionally, sometimes
mhm,
spiritually, and
yeah,
definitely mentally. And people don't realize that that's what's happening when they, either overeat, or they binge eat, or when they stop eating, when they have
mhm,
insomnia, or when they're sleeping too much, when
yeah,
they're crying too much, or when they're just constantly stoic and they're not feeling.
yeah,
All of those things have to do with your mental health wellness. And if people can understand the signs and realize that, it would probably help if I went to go talk to someone, and the feeling you have when you leave out of the office that lasts you for another week, another 2 or 3 weeks, is
mhm,
so amazing.
yeah,
Just knowing that you were heard. Like, therapists can be used to validate you, to hear you, to support you, to encourage you, to suggest things to you.
mhm,
Overall, they are there to, at least from my perspective and the way I operate with my clients, I want to empower them. I want
mhm,
to empower them to understand that there's a lot of things that they can do on their own when they are unable to get to a therapist, that helps them with coping with certain
yeah, exactly.
situations. And
Well,
so it's teaching you coping skills.
yeah. And to your point, I find that a lot of us, especially 'cause I'm from the South, a lot of us in the South, and I am one of your true God is God. I am a firm Christian. I'm all of that. I believe God gave people some good brains and some good skills, blessed them with good skills, that we do need to have the faith, but coupling it with therapy. Some people need to couple it with that,
Yes.
and have faith that God can work if that's what you want to, because some people are like, well, God will work it all out. That's true. But God works through people.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say that just because a lot of people don't have this conversation. God works through people to help you. That
Mm-hmm.
is God working. So don't cancel it out. And
Right.
and I know for sure that that was a God send for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. All of a sudden it's in your plan, because there's so
Hmm.
many people who were like you. It's like, it's not in my plan. I don't really want to spend the extra money. And a lot
Hmm.
of times people, if they've never experienced sessions with a therapist before, if they don't have any immediate friends or family who have not shared their experiences with a therapist before,
Hmm.
they don't realize the blessing that is in it. And so they don't see the value of
Exactly.
whatever it costs. And they don't realize sometimes therapists have a sliding rate scale. So they are willing to work with you if circumstances don't allow you to be able to afford their regular rate. And so because they are not looking at it from that perspective, they bypass it,
Of
and they
course.
miss out on so much. And it's interesting because people will pay $1,000 or hundreds of dollars to go to a Beyonce concert. They will pay hundreds of dollars for a pair of red, or thousands, I don't even know how much they cost, red bottoms. They will pay all that money for an expensive bag or piece of luggage. But when it comes to their mental health, they're like, oh no, that's too much. That's too high, or I can't afford it. But you just, I mean, where are your priorities? Do you want to feel good overall? Do you want to be better overall? Where are your priorities?
There is this thing that I came up with for my own life. I can't remember how long ago I did it, but it was after a lot of the traumatic. I was on the other side of the hill, where I said one day, "Okay, Maria, just pick an age. Pick some elderly age," and I picked the 80 number.
Okay.
I could live to 95. I don't know, or 100, but I picked 80. And what I said to myself or asked myself, how do you want to feel when you're 80 years old? Okay. Spiritually, mentally, physically, all of that. How do you want to feel? How do you see yourself? Right. And so I got that established. And then I brought myself back to the present. And I said, okay, now what do you need to do every day to ensure that you feel that way and that you are that 80-year-old? You know what I'm saying? It's a
Mm-hmm.
struggle sometimes because what it did, it also revealed to me that I don't like to run. I don't like to jog. I like ice cream. So there are things that I had to, I have to say, okay, that's not really going to help that, or how committed and dedicated am I? And one of the main things was my spiritual and mental health, emotional health. What do you want to do to make sure you feel good inside and out? So you
Yes.
just do those things every day. All of us have many, many choices. So this wellness, and even my sisters and I have ventured into a business for health and wellness now with different health and wellness products,
Oh, nice.
because those things are mattering more and more the older we get. And so, yeah, I think it's extremely important. We have our priorities in order to understand superficial things. You can't take that with you. And like one of my teachers said, there's never been a U-Haul behind a hearse.
I like that.
So we got to think of the things that really matter. And,
Right.
we sometimes get in this world, we're so bored so fast, you know, and
Mm.
we just want things. So,
We just want things, and then we don't understand why we have all these nice things, but we don't feel good. We
no
might
peace, no
look
joy.
good, but we still don't feel good.
Yeah.
Feelings are so powerful. They are so powerful. They can make or break your day.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
They can literally make or break your day. You
Yep.
can walk out of your house feeling like $1,000,000. And
Yep.
if somebody looks at you wrong, says the wrong thing to you, or cuts you off in traffic or whatever, guess what? Your emotions are bruised.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
because we have not learned to accept the fact that whatever this person did to me was their issue. It's not mine. And
Okay.
you don't
That's
learn
a
that.
whole other show.
Right. You don't learn that kind of thing just sitting at home watching television or on the phone with your friends or looking at social
Right.
media necessarily. Those are types of things that can be shared with you if you go see a therapist, or you do a lot of reading and research on your own, and you're kind of growing that
Yeah.
way. Most people who are not willing to go see a therapist are
Hmm.
not willing to do the research and educate
Right.
themselves
Right.
either. But a lot of times when people do something to us that hurts our feelings or that makes us angry, it's more about the other person than it is about us. However, what matters is how we react to it. Now, if we react to it in a very strong way, then we need to turn inward to say, why
Hmm.
does that bother me so much?
And that's called responding as opposed to reacting, you know.
Exactly. It's
Hmm.
being aware of your emotions. And so there's
Right.
always room for everybody to grow. I myself have seen a therapist. I think I've lost count. It's been so many years. I
Yeah.
think for 7 years, I
Hmm.
love her to death. And I've always, been delving into the mental health behavioral science world. I mean, ever
Hmm.
since the seventh grade, I knew I wanted to be a psychologist, but
Oh,
I'm
wow.
still a mental health therapist. I don't
Hmm.
know, one day I might still get my doctorate, but
Yeah.
I've always known that I wanted to deal with this sort of this area ever since the seventh grade, because I'm very intuitive. I'm an empath, and I always wonder, why did somebody do that the way they did, or why did they make that choice versus another
Yeah.
choice? And so in saying that, studying people and their feelings and their emotions, I tend to analyze a lot of times, like, how something happened, as to like,
Hmm.
why am I reacting the way I am? And it's
Yeah.
taken a lot of work, but I tell you what, I really didn't have a full understanding until I went to go see my therapist. And there was so much growth after seeing her that I
Hmm.
was just blown away. I was like,
Well, I
I wanted to like go
appreciate
talk to the world. You guys need to see a therapist. You need to see my therapist. No, I'm a
I
therapist.
appreciate the
Me
fact
too.
that you But I appreciate the fact that you see a therapist because you look at it this way. Every dentist needs a dentist.
Yes.
Every eye doctor needs an eye doctor.
Yes.
Every minister needs a minister.
Yes.
So you have to, we always, as we learn from one, we teach another. So, and we pass it on. That's if we got all this love thing and priority thing in order, and acts of kindness, then the world would be a better place.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah.
And mental health therapy would benefit so many people. Think about like how the government a lot of times, or certain groups of people like to blame insanity or whatever on, like when there's school shootings. It's
Hmm.
they like to say the person had a mental problem.
Hmm.
Why, if you don't want the guns to be limited or taken away, why aren't you in support of more mental health therapy for the masses? So I'm confused. Like, is that just a cover up because you just want to protect your guns? Or do you really care that have you really thought about that? The person probably did have a mental issue. I mean, the guns didn't help, but
Hmm.
everything starts from this mental space. When a person decides, I want to grow up and make something of myself, or a person decides, I want to grow up and I want to just be a beach bum, or I want to grow up and I want to just be a couch potato, or I want to grow up and I want to travel the world.
Hmm.
All of those are inspired by something that has touched them emotionally, at their mental capacity of, like their environment. And
Yes.
so I think that knowing how it affects almost everything in your life, from the choices of food that you choose to eat, from how you decide to or not decide to exercise,
Hmm.
what you decide to, who you decide to be, it's all starting up here, and it
Yes.
has to do with your environment. So I
And
really,
when you don't have this up here together, the environment has a better opportunity to sway you. You know what I mean? Because I truly believe in, you got to have a serious, solid foundation. Everything else sprouts from that. When you don't have that in place, you're just open to all kinds of things.
oh
You know,
yeah.
I really believe that.
So
Um,
I want to ask you a question.
mhm.
What is the one thing that if you could go back and change or shift just a little bit, that you would do, from your childhood?
Mm. The one thing that comes to mind right away is a better understanding of God.
Okay.
Reason being, churches did their best, but the churches, I think, sometimes let us down by not explaining better to
Yes.
a child's mind, to a child in a child's language, a level of understanding. Because sometimes we grow up, and it affects so many other areas of our lives.
Mhm.
Because I grew up thinking God was very harsh
Mm.
and the punishing God. On the one hand, it helped me be a great rule follower and follow direction on set. That's crazy to even go there. But on the other hand, it didn't help nourish and feed that self-forgiveness aspect that I
Got it.
wish I had had. I was very hard on myself.
Mm.
So that kind of thing. I used to always think there was wrath. I come from the Bible Belt, so that was pretty much expected to have
Yeah.
that kind of mentality. That's the one thing I would shift.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And what is the one thing you would shift or change, from your adult life?
Ooh. The one thing I would change in my adult life. Ooh, that's a hard one. Because honestly, I don't think I changed too much. And the reason why I say that is because I'm at a place where I am so grateful for all the lessons that I've learned. Because if I didn't, if I could have been somewhere else in my heart and in my mind. I'm
Yeah.
where I am thanks to all the experiences I had, painful as they were, disappointing as they were. I'm here. I'm fine. I'm grateful.
You know what I get from that, and it's so beautiful, is that you have come to a space in your life where you've accepted you for who you are, for everything you are, and you are loving you. You know what I mean? Because you don't, like you said, no matter how hard or how challenging some things have been in your life, you understand that you are the person you are because of those, because you've gone through those. And that's really important, because a lot of people get to be 65 and 70 years old and they don't like themselves. They don't, you can tell they don't like themselves because they don't care to talk about themselves. They don't want to remember things that happened in their lives. They try to just shut it down and, just, I can't even put words on it right now. But for you to say what you said, that says a lot. And I really hope that what everybody gets from that is that self-acceptance and understanding where you are in this moment is because of the choices that you made, but also understanding you have the power to accept it, embrace it, and to make it work for you.
That's
because
absolutely right.
to me, it's not like a win or a loss. It's a win or a learn. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's a learn, like push that lost word out of vocabulary. You've learned from everything that you've gone through, good and bad. And I hope that more people can take that.
And because I always tell people, I said, especially when I'm coaching and acting or whatever, when I'm mentoring, I tell people, I said, look, I need you to do one thing for yourself. Don't compare yourself to anybody. Because when you spend more time out there, you're not looking at what you have in here. And you may miss out on being the next or the first of something. You might be that something you wish you could be.
Right. You look for it someplace else and it's been right here.
It's been right here all the time.
It's been right here. It's been right here the whole time. And oh my gosh, just thinking about it makes me sad to think about people who idolize other people privately or even openly, because they have not accepted themselves for who they are, and they are just as great as whoever else they're idolizing. It's just in a different way. Nobody is expected to be exactly like somebody else, because God made us all unique. You might look similar to somebody else. You might be shaped similar. You might be on a similar path, but you both have very different gifts. And if you stop competing against others and just simply and comparing against them and just simply compete against yourself. And when I say that, I don't mean like in a beat yourself up kind of competition way. I mean, it's like, you know what? I know I'm a great person, but I'm going to try to be, an even better person tomorrow. What do I need to do to be a better person tomorrow? Does that mean I need to have an even more giving heart? Does that mean I need to have a more open heart, to be more open-minded to something I hadn't considered before? Does it mean that I need to be brave and try something I never tried before?
That is, you hit some things spot on. It's like so much you're saying is so relevant and so crucial. Case in point, one example, I remember, it happens a lot with my singing, because I have a whole thing and vision of since I was a kid, of what kind of singing I wanted to do. I'm doing that. But so many times in my life, especially in relationships, people have always tried to tell me what I should be doing. How to do it, how to wear my hair, what kind of clothes. And I'm not talking about when I hire somebody to help do something. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who want to change you because they don't know who they are.
Right.
And so
they were doing what you're doing, but they're going to try to live vicariously through you by telling you to do what they would.
Telling me what they want me to do and all this. And if you're not careful, you can get, like I said, swayed. So I just held on tightly to what I knew the vision was, because it's not about, and this is another thing, this I have to say very, very importantly. People always talk about, the singing, the acting, the voiceover work that I do. And I'm going, all of those are platforms for the ministry. Okay, let's talk about that stuff that you're talking about, doing kindness, opening up your heart. all the, if I didn't do any more career things tomorrow, how's my heart? How's my spirit? How's
Right.
my mental health? Let's get back to that. Because those are the things that help sustain all those other things that I get to do and that I'm so privileged to do and honored to do, because I know that's a platform. I
Yes.
what I'm here on this earth, my calling, people
Yes.
need to really pay more attention to what their calling is, not so much of their vocation or anything, but that calling. Sometimes it comes together, sometimes it's the same thing, but sometimes it's not. And
Mhm.
I know my calling is to heal hearts.
Mm.
Okay, I do that through singing. I do
Mhm.
that through mentorships. I do that through a lot of different areas in my life, and just being kind. You know, I choose kindness. And to get to this place of, like you said, acceptance, that took help. I mean, it took work on my part. The
Mhm.
therapy, the
Mhm.
faith, the getting out there and working hard, all of these things contributed to what I'm doing now and how I'm able to accept myself and
Mhm.
understand I'm nobody else. I don't want to be anybody else,
Mhm.
because
'Cause
there's
you're
something that I'm supposed to be doing. And if I spend more time trying to be somebody else, I won't do what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I don't want to get to my 80-year-old self and go, God, you wasted time. I
I
don't
wish
want
I had, right?
to.
Yes, you are on the Maria path. You're not on your neighbor's path, your friend's path, your family's path. You are on Maria's path. And I love that it seems like you really know what your focus is,
Mhm,
what your goals are, and
mhm.
you have been doing the work to set you up to get there.
Right,
And you understand it's not going to be without bumps and bruises and mishaps
right,
and
right,
confusion,
right.
but you are there for it all, and you know at this point all you have to do is like get up. You fall down what 7 times, you get up 8, right?
Right, because it's
Ex-
that eighth time. That's
yes.
right. That's right. That's right.
Wow.
Because that, ooh, boy, you said a mouthful.
Wow. Well, this has been a really great conversation with you. I am so happy to have you on the show, and I feel like you do, because I don't do the things I do for fame or fortune or to
Right,
necessarily get rich, because if I got rich, I still wouldn't be spending money crazily on materialistic things. I would be like, okay, there's somebody, I don't know who they are, but they look like they could use a little extra. Let me just go put this
yeah,
in an envelope. There you
yeah,
go. And then split,
yeah.
that's who I am. Or it's like, there's an organization that I'm like, you know what, they're doing good things, I want to support them.
Mhm,
And so I am trying to set myself up in a position so that I can have more of that freedom to do that. And
mhm,
because my heart wants to help everybody, I'm like you, I just want
yeah,
to give. But as people like us, we have to also make sure that we are protecting ourselves from not overcommitting and over giving, and knowing when to pause it. It didn't say stop, but knowing when to pause it temporarily so that we can take a breath
discerning,
and
discerning. You, yeah,
yeah.
mm, yeah, all that.
All right, well, Maria, yes. So if you'd like to add something to that, please do. But after you do, if you'd like to cap off what we were just talking about, I want to hear about the next time you have a live singing show coming up. I think with Noel, that's your
Noel,
partner. Noel. Okay,
Noel
Noel.
Freeline.
Yes.
And we've been doing since the pandemic started. We've been since March 18th. Every
Okay.
Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we've been doing an hour long. Sometimes it goes a little over an hour.
Okay.
We've gone into this whole thing of like all requests. So we have people sending in their requests. And but the most beautiful compliment is people think I can sing any and everything in the whole wide world. Because I'm like, really? Y'all think I can sing that? But anyway, that's such a compliment. So we've been doing that. And it's just really been so gratifying, just raising money for area musicians and workers at the club. And it's just been really nice, really, really nice. And it's keeping me sane. Because if I wasn't singing, I think I'd be a little cray-cray on the side. So
Okay, so when you say every Wednesday at 7 p.m., is that on your
oh, I'm
Facebook?
sorry. Yes, that's on Middle C Jazz. That's on their Facebook page. We rallied everybody together on their Facebook page so we can keep a tally of the numbers and see how many viewers we're having. But even if you go on my page, Maria Howell, it'll route you there. So it's pretty easy. Noel's page, my page, but Middle C Jazz on Facebook. Yeah, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m.
Well, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that people think you can sing anything and everything, because you are known for singing that song in the church on The Color Purple. What was it called again?
God is trying to tell you something, and he's still trying to tell me something.
He will always be trying to tell us something. We have to just always be listening and open to listening.
Yep.
Yes, but if you have not, well, everybody at this point should have seen The Color Purple. But if you have not, you will see a young Maria. She's still young, but you'll see a baby Maria in that church choir leading that solo with Shug. It's been so long since I saw that. Shug Avery. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Yeah. So Maria, tell us.
35 years ago.
That was 35 years ago? I can't believe the movie, it came out 35 years ago. Wow.
In
I love
1985.
that.
Yeah, it's almost 35.
That has to like still give you like chill bumps, because that was huge.
Yeah, and I didn't know how huge it would be, but yeah, it's a very humbling experience to be that face that will never change. Yeah,
Right.
it was an amazing experience.
You know what?
Yeah.
I might have to go rent that movie tonight and watch it with my family. My kids have not seen that, and I love that movie. I'm gonna have to do that. So Maria, tell us where everybody can find you on your social media platforms and your website.
Easy, Google me up, Maria Howell. That's MariaHowell. If you Google it, or you can go to Facebook, Maria Howell, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, or you can go to mariahowell.com. I think I'm pretty easy to find these days.
Yes, yes.
Punch it in. Just start typing.
You just type in "beautiful lady with the smile and the big voice," and she'll pop right up. You'll see Maria Howell first.
Oh, you're so sweet.
All right. Well, Maria, thank you again for talking with us today. And
thank you for having me, because you've been so important in my life for a lot of years now, because we've known each other a long time now. And I don't know how long it's been now.
It's been a very long time, because we've both been with the same agent.
That's right.
I've been with them for about 26 years plus. So you've probably been with them about the same amount of time, at least, if not more. Well, maybe a little more.
No, I don't think so. I was with another agency, but I remember seeing your beautiful face, and I'm like, it's just absolutely gorgeous and sweet. And what's really beautiful? You're beautiful physically, but you're beautiful inside. And that's what I've always loved about you. And you're smart as I don't know what, and gifted and talented. So thank you for being who you are and being in touch with your gifts.
Thank you. I'm still learning. Thank you so much. I'm still learning that. I'm still learning to believe and trust that. And you know why I'm getting there? It's through therapy. Therapy has helped me come a long way with believing in myself and trusting myself in the process. So yeah, always go to therapy.
But I think the thing that helped me with that area, because there's a thing we all as humans suffer, a lot of us anyway, the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
I started getting to the point, I'm like, I didn't give me the gifts that I have.
Yeah.
If I was entrusted with the gift, celebrate it.
Right.
So that's what I say to any and everybody, you included, myself included. If God gave us a gift, he entrusted us with it, and he wants us to do something with it.
Yes.
So
keep it hidden. There's a gift into everybody.
Because it's like, that's a slap in the face. If I gave you a gift and then you just threw it under your couch, that's insulting.
Right? Yes.
Now, when we take our gifts and our talents and we use them for self-gain and we are egotistical with them, that's a different thing. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about being appreciative and grateful for the gifts that we're given. There's a reason why we were given the particular gifts we were given. There's a reason. So let's use them.
Right.
Let's move forward and conquer.
Amen.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you again, Maria, and I will let you know when this will be airing.
Thank you, girl. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye. If you'd like to be a guest on Tuesdays with Tammy, please contact me at www.tammyvaughn.com.